Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today we're going to be talking about the new DLC emblems, Hector, Soren, and Camilla. If you don't want to be spoiled on anything Fire Emblem Engage, now's probably the time to click away. So we're going to be talking about these DLC emblems, how good they are, and whether or not I think they're going to be, like, game-breaking. So let's talk about those, as we do. So we're going to start with Hector. Hector. I like these buffs. I like those buffs a lot. Strength, defense, and build. And then his skills are really good too. So I think Hector has potential to be pretty powerful, and I think he's going to be seen as a lot of people's favorites from this batch. Based on how much people like Ike as well, you know. Very similar rings or emblems, I should say. Quick riposte is probably his big selling point. 80% HP or more. Foe initiates combat. Unit will always follow up, if weapon allows. So you can't do it with like a blade or you know, the great axes or whatever they're called. So that's kind of broken. If you ask me, it's kind of insane. His engage skill, if foe initiates combat, you just take less damage, which of course is really good. I think this is my favorite one though. Dragon, dodge plus 50, which may not seem like a nice thing. Dodge affects how much crit the enemy has. The more dodge you have, the less likely you are to get crit. It's basically based on your luck. And then like weapon enhancements and things like that. Other stuff is kind of, I don't know, Armor Knight's probably going to be in flyers, you know, even harder to kill them. Very cool. Storm Eye, I'm not super hot on Storm Eye, or Storm's Eye, I should say. Being able to, it just increases your survivability like a lot for a turn, and allows you to kill things on enemy phase. So it basically makes you an enemy phase monster. The problem with it is, you know, still a good chance of you know, dying. So it's kind of similar to like the Ike thing, where Ike's Great Aether is good, but it's like very susceptible to chain attacks. So it kind of needs pair up to work effect like really well, especially in the later game maps where I feel like everything has every unit's a backup, every enemy. It's ridiculous. That's what it feels like, at least. But I see people liking that one a lot as well. Probably makes them feel very strong. And the one with Lyn, it gives him Vantage, which is just stupid. Very silly. Very silly. I do like Wolfbale. You know, it's his rapier kind of thing, effective against the usuals, cavalry armored. And adaptability, I haven't tested it out yet. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, because it gives 2 defense or 2 res after you take an attack. And I'm curious to see if that stacks. It says last until end of battle. And I don't know if by end of battle they mean like it literally just stacks every time you get attacked and your defense just becomes impenetrable at some point. Kind of insane if you think about it. You'd have to get hit by it though. So it's like, you can't use it on like a dodge tank and make them like a god that way. You kind of have to use it on someone who's already going to get hit or wants to get hit. So Axe Guard, very uninteresting. I don't see anyone ever really spending their SP on it. Piercing Glare, it's kind of like Obstruction or Obstruct, but you know, with a unit, which is kind of cool. But I think obviously his big selling points are Quick Riposte. Quick Riposte is insane. And then adaptability, depending on exactly how it works, could be broken as well. Let me know how it works in the comments if you know. Does it stack, and does it really last until the end of the battle, like the full stack? Does it last forever throughout a battle? That's kind of insane. Kind of like Speed Taker, you know? Because Speed Taker's broken. This seems even, you know, more broken. Yeah. Hector seems really good. I'll say whether or not I think he's going to break the game or not in a minute after I talk about the other ones, or if he's like the best one. My initial impression is that he is he's like Ike, but slightly more offensively motivated. That's kind of the feeling I get. That could be wrong though. Again, this is very early opinions and impressions here. Let's look at Soren. I wish Soren gave magic and speed. I understand why they don't do that, because that would be kind of busted to give magic and speed for buffs, because that would just increase your damage output by like too much probably. But where I think Soren really shines are his skills, and they look really cool to me because I think it really fits my playstyle personally. But I understand not liking them as much as, say, Hector or even Ike or something like that. So Assigned Decoy is really cool and really funny. I do know how this one works pretty well. So essentially, you choose an ally, and they're going to get targeted instead of you for a turn. Or just like by enemies in general, up to 3 times. Now, I want to know how strong this is. I don't know if it's like always going to work or not, but for an example, like you put Yunaka in a forest as a thief, so as a covert, and she has that plus 60 avoid, and like an enemy has 0 hit on her, right? If you use Assigned Decoy on that Yunaka in that situation, even though the enemy cannot hit her and normally would ignore her, they will attack her, which is really crazy. Really crazy. I could see it being useful for luring bosses if it works on them, which is could be very nice in a few niche situations, especially endgame where the bosses tend to be pretty scary. Flare is, it's whatever. Res minus 20% on foe, and also you heal. It says when attacking with a tome right here. I don't know if this act works on enemy phase, because that might be kind of crazy. Be like some insane NOS tanking. Cataclysm, just a really big area of effect attack. I don't have any complaints about it. Kind of messes up flyers, which is good. I think where he's going to shine is bolting. Long range thunder magic. Long range. Long range. So some enemies have like meteor while you're playing through the main story. Yeah, they give it to the player now. Very fun. Anima Focus is interesting at the very least. Defense minus 3 when you use fire, and then other debuffs from other types of anima magic. So this excludes like Surge and like Nova, I assume. But defense minus 3 with fire is cool. It's probably the best one of these 3. Because move minus 2 with wind isn't going to be super useful. I wonder if that stacks with hobble though. I'll have to check that. Because if that stacks with hobble, you could reduce a enemy's movement to 0 with 2 units who attack from range. So that could be good, but don't know yet. Keen Insight, kind of garbage. I'm going to be honest. If you need extra damage with your effective damage, you need to forge your weapons, is the answer to that. And other than that, Magic Guard's like, okay. Not the biggest fan of it. And Block Recovery is also I think it's kind of a meme. I don't think it's actually going to do anything. When attacking a broken foe with a tome grants a chance, the foe will remain broken. So it's a random chance of something that might happen. So, not the biggest fan of that. I think Soren overall has a couple of really neat tools, but his impact on the game might not be huge. Now let's talk about Camilla, who alone, the +5 speed buff is enough to make her incredibly powerful. Because look at Lynn. Everyone likes Lynn, and why do they like Lynn? And why does she make pretty much any unit good? It's because she increases speed. And speed, in my opinion, is back to being the best stat in Fire Emblem. In Three Houses, maddening speed became such a hard thing to keep up with as far as enemies just having a ton, that it wasn't really feasible to double a lot or prevent getting doubled a lot in a lot of cases. So speed became less and less important in that game. Whereas I think we're back to the point where doubling is very possible, and raising your void with your speed is very possible and very, very doable. So +5 speed is just really good. +5 speed is really good. She has 2 real powerful things that I think are going to set her apart from other emblems. So Dragon Vein number 1. I don't think her Dragon Vein is going to be as good as Corrin's Dragon Vein, simply because the covert one is different. So it creates smoke that decreases defense and evade of enemies. So I believe it's defense and res -5, and then avoid minus like 20, 30, or 40 or something like that. It makes enemies easier to kill, which is nice, but you lose out on Vein of Fog. And Vein of Fog is the best one, right? Everyone loves Vein of Fog. It slows down enemies and also makes a covert like unkillable. So, a little sad that she loses that one, but she has some other really great ones in that, the smoke, and then also the ice floors. Vein of Ice gives you like an ice floor that increases your movement like it does in the Tiki Paralog. Very cool. Okay. Her next skill that I think is going to be pretty well liked is Soar. I understand it's not as good as, well, maybe people say it's not as good as Sigurd's that gives a ton of extra movement. This only gives +2 move. Oh, but plus another +2 on cavalry, by the way, or +1 on flyer. But what it does is it gives units flying. It allows them to fly. It doesn't turn them into a flyer, to my knowledge. It just makes it so they have flyer movement. So they're not weak to bows, but they can fly over mountains and water and stuff like that. That is busted. That's busted. Flying is still incredibly good in Fire Emblem. It's not different here in Engage. And being able to take a powerful unit and make them a flyer is going to make certain paralogs kind of a breeze, honestly. You have paralogs like the Leaf Paralog, where being able to fly over over the water and stuff will be very good. I am curious to see, I haven't checked it yet. I'm curious to see what happens if you are to disengage from Camilla while over some, like over water, or if you're over like a mountain or something, some other flyer only terrain, you know? Interested to see what happens with that. It probably just moves you back to where you previously were, but we'll see. Or they're just trapped there. That'd be kind of funny. Her engage, attack, Dark Inferno has kind of a weird area of effect, but if you can make use of it, it seems pretty strong. Her weapons are alright. Bolt Axe could be good, depending on who you put it on. And also just depends on how strong it is overall. Lightning, whatever. And then she has, creatively, Camilla's Axe. Ooh. Who came up with that name? But I don't know, res +10 is cool, and then deals extra damage. Foes res minus their defense as damage. So you deal extra damage to mages, which, okay. It's supposed to be like a mage killer axe, I guess. And nothing else she has really stands out to me as being like, well, that's really good, you know. So I think her big standout is obviously her Dragon Vein ability. Putting her on Alear, or again, spoiler character, or on Veil is going to be very good. And then Sword just looks broken to me. Sword just looks insanely good. So of the three, I think Camilla is going to be considered the best one. Of the three, I think Camilla is going to be considered the best one because more Dragon Veins is more Dragon Veins. Being able to slow down enemies with fire or whatever else is really good. And then Sora is just kind of broken. Sora's kind of broken. After that, I think Hector, I almost said Sigurd. I think Hector is going to be seen as the next best. And then Soren will be I think Soren's a little harder to use overall and will be seen as less interesting or less good. When in reality, I think he has potential to be one of the better ones or the best of these three. No, Camilla's just too good with Dragon Vein. But I think Assign Decoy and Cataclysm are both really good. So, and Flare has potential to be really good. So, depending on the unit you put it on. But there you have it. Those are my initial thoughts and impressions on the new DLC emblems. Again, Camilla is broken. I don't think that's a surprise, and the other two are pretty good too. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think they're going to break the game? Do you think they're going to make it too easy? I'm curious to know your thoughts. And also, like the video, subscribe. All that stuff I'm supposed to tell you to do. I lost my train of thought there. Anyways, thanks and thank you for bearing with me for this admittedly low effort content because I was trying to get some recordings going and everything, but it just didn't happen today. That'll happen in the future. I'll have some good stuff for you soon. But for now, this is what you get. So thanks for watching.